Wyoming Republican Senator John Barrasso is with us right now. He's a member of the Senate Republican leadership, a member of the Foreign Relations Committee as well. Senator, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Wolf.
Were there enough specifics in there for you?
Well, I think there were. I thought it was a very optimistic and aspirational speech. I really liked the fact that he talked about in 9 years the country will be 250 years old. And what do we want that birthday celebration to look like in terms of our country, in terms of jobs, in terms of the economy, and in terms of national security? But he didn't really get into
specifics on how he wants to repeal and replace Obamacare and come up with a new program. He gave some broad outlines. He seemed to be moving towards what the House version is, but you tell me, were there any specifics there, enough specifics to get a sense of where he's moving?
Well, I think absolutely there were. He had a 5-point plan. He wants to make sure people with pre-existing conditions are continued to be covered. He wants a smooth transition. He wants to
What he said
give
was that they would
continue
to have the opportunity to be covered, if you will. It wasn't necessarily a firm guarantee.
Well, you want to make sure that people with pre-existing conditions...
He said something about access to coverage.
Yeah. Well, my wife's a breast cancer survivor, and I know as a doctor as well as a husband how important it is for people with pre-existing conditions to continue to have the availability of coverage. I think that's very critical. I'm committed to that, and I know the president is as well.
Are you okay with the House version? Basically, what Paul Ryan is putting forward right now is because that seems to be something in play.
Well, there's only one person who can sign the law, and the status quo has failed. Obamacare has failed. The House is going to work on passing something. We're meeting with the House leadership later today. We're continuing to work on finding the best way to do it. But the problem is the cost is so high, and Obamacare has contributed to that. We want access for people. We want affordability. And you ask people what the biggest problem with Obamacare is, it costs too much. That's why young people aren't buying. Even with the mandate, they're moving away from it.
Let's talk about infrastructure for a moment. I'll play the clip. This is how the president phrased his plan for $1 billion to rebuild roads and highways and airports. Listen to this.
To launch our national rebuilding, I will be asking Congress to approve legislation that produces a $1 trillion investment in infrastructure of the United States, financed through both public and private capital, creating millions of new jobs.
Democrats like that. A lot of Republicans are worried. $1 trillion. Where's that money coming from?
Well, that's the exact question is, where do you come the money? But I'm the chairman of the committee, the Environment and Public Works Committee, and we held a hearing today about infrastructure that included the California, the situation with the dam there, and a situation we have in Worland, Wyoming, which shows that one size doesn't fit all. So when the president talks about private partnerships with the public, that works in many places. Doesn't work necessarily in Wyoming, where we have so many square miles and so few people.
Well,
so there are ways to do it.
Where's the $1 trillion going to come from?
That's still being worked out. We're looking for the president's suggestions. I've talked to his Secretary of Commerce, Wilbur Ross, who has a plan for how it comes that generates revenue. That will work in some places. It won't work others. The whole issue is one size doesn't fit all. But we have had bipartisan support in the Senate over the years for a major transportation bill that passed a year and a half ago, a major Water Resource Development Act that passed last year. We have Republicans and Democrats working together for infrastructure, and we look forward to that 250th birthday of the country. We need to improve the infrastructure, which is failing around the country.
Very quickly, what he says, it would be financed through both public, which is taxpayers, and private capital. What does he mean by private capital? Are you going to be doing tax credits, tax breaks to private companies to build stadiums or other projects?
Well, there's that. There's tolling in roads where actually the toll road gets sold, and then that company who works that has the revenue that comes in to fund that. There's bonding. There's a number of different potential ways to do it. Different people have different ideas, and I know we need to do the work. There's a bipartisan group committed to that. We have to find a source of funding that works for everyone, and one size doesn't fit all. So though that works maybe in major cities, it doesn't necessarily work in rural America.
Yeah, I think a lot of Democrats are anxious to get that $1 trillion infrastructure building project going. Let's see if it happens. Senator, thanks for joining us.
And for so much of the infrastructure, just getting rid of some of these regulations, which have been oppressive under the Obama administration. They've been punishing, and now we think we can do a lot better if we can just get rid of a lot of these regulations, which makes it a lot tougher.
The president believes that getting rid of a lot of these regulations is even more important than tax cuts in stimulating economic
It'll do
growth.
a lot. There's a lot of optimism coming out of that speech. You
There's a
see it in the
disagreement
stock
from other
market
people.
today.
The stock market is doing great today. All right, thanks very much.
Thanks, Wolf.
But what goes up, as you know, can go down.
Can go down.
Yeah.
It's a matter of optimism and
All right.
opinion.
Senator, thank
Thanks.
you.